Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. Today I am going to be reviewing my tarot decks. So I decided to start doing some product reviews, but I want to do them quickly because no one ever wants to listen to anybody talk about it for 20 minutes. So today I'm going to be reviewing my tarot decks, all the tarot decks that I have. I was going to separate them out into multiple videos, but I was like, ugh, that would be like 20 videos. So I'm just gonna go rapid fire through the ones that I own now, and then I will make new videos for every new deck that I got. So let's get started. So the first deck I ever bought was the Once Upon a Time tarot deck. So this is tarot. It's based on the original Rider-Waite tarot deck. This is the cover. If you want to look at the artwork more, I'm sure there's plenty of videos out there on it. I'm just going to describe the energy of all of these and how it is to use them. I love this one because it's very whimsical. It tells a story, and I think that I use this deck for when I really want to really get in detail of why something's happening, maybe looking at themes or patterns. The reason why I also like this deck is because each card is a different fairy tale. And so those are really easy for me to remember because I'm like, oh, that card, it's about Little Red Riding Hood. Bam, I know exactly what that means. The downside to this deck is it does have a lot of fairy tales that you haven't heard of before. So it does require you to read each story that goes along with each card, which can be a little time consuming. It does have a summation at the bottom, but I feel like I would resonate more with these if I took the time to read each and every single one of those. On to the next deck. The next deck is called the Shamans Oracle. Now, I don't think that this would resonate if you are not into shamanic stuff. Really, the only time that I use this deck is when I'm doing a shamanic journey or shamanic reading, because I feel like the principles of this and the themes that it talks about just make sense with shamanic work. And I think it's not split into like a traditional tarot outline. It's more of its own, where it represents the 5 fingers, and kind of it's a really abstract concept. And so that's again why I'm like, if you aren't into shamanic Native American stuff as is, I wouldn't go with these decks. This deck, the cards are not that pretty again, but again, if you're into shamanic work, shamanic journeying, definitely the deck for you. I feel like it supplements those readings and confirms them in a way that no other card can. I think this is also great because it's talking about your ancestors, and your ancestors are very heavily involved in your shamanic work, and so it's very heavy on your past loved ones. And so if you're also looking to communicate with very past loved ones that you've never have met before, this is also the deck for you. Oracle of the Mermaids. This is one of my favorite decks. I find that when I put it out on the table, almost everyone wants me to read the Mermaid deck. I feel like this is very feminine energy. I feel like these readings tend to be about water, feelings, emotion. Maybe that's because I set the intention that that's kind of what they were for, but they just have beautiful mermaids. And I think that the readings that tend to come out of it are about love and connection, and so that's when I tend to use these cards during readings if people are asking about relationships or love or emotions. It's really about connecting with the inner feminine, and I love it for that reason. And the artwork is some of the better artwork. I would never get rid of this deck at all. The Enchanted Map Oracle is next, and this honestly is one of my favorites. I love Colette Baron Reid. It comes with a little booklet. Again, if you want to look at the artwork, check out some other people's videos. I consider this tarot deck a very step-by-step, like what to do. I feel like this is like action items is what I call it. I feel like this deck is very much like do this, do that. It's very focused. I mean, the theme is kind of all based around the compass and like where you should go next. And so I feel like if anybody has questions on what they should be doing, where they should be going next, I feel like these cards just are the best for that. and it's definitely one of my go-to. I love Colette's art also. I feel like she does an excellent job of making the book inside really good too. And so between the artwork, the book, the messaging, she puts the reverse message and the positive message, and then she's got this quick little quote here that usually helps me remember what it's about. It's just a really easy to use deck by all means. Archangel Power Tarot. I have a love-hate relationship with this deck. I'm not a huge lover in the way that these cards are decorated. I feel like the colors are just super bright and obnoxious, and the artwork themselves are just kind of badly photoshopped, but that's me and my pickiness. I feel like these cards are really good for people who just need like 200% dose of positivity. Like, I feel like there's no negativity in these cards, which is not helpful if somebody is going through something and they need to hear, you know, hey, you need to step up, or hey, you need to do this. I feel like these cards are just so sugared sweet, if that makes sense. And so I usually only pull out these cards when somebody's really struggling and I need to really stay light and happy during the reading. You know, when people have just lost somebody, that's when I use this deck. Again, artwork is not my favorite. It is a huge deck. It is hard to hold, I will say that. That's the only bad thing. But I do like how the side is gold. That's really pretty. Oh my gosh, you guys should see this table. This is probably one of my favorite decks. This is also by Colette Baron Reid. This is called Wisdom of the Oracle. Absolutely love this one. I feel like it's very similar energy to the Enchanted Map, but I would say this is a lighter version of it, and I feel like this tends to be more about emotions and your inner head, inner talk, whereas the other one is more about action. I really like using both of those decks in tandem. Artwork again is just stunning. She hides all of these faces and extra symbols and images in the cards, and I feel like every time that I look at the artwork, I come up with a new way of using it for a reading. And it has multiple meanings because that. When it's just one piece of art, it's very easy to get stuck in only seeing that card one way. Again, same thing with this deck. The booklet goes really well with it. Artwork is great. I'm just a huge fan of Colette Baron Reid. I feel like she actually sits down and uses her intuition to create these cards, whereas some people just copy the Rider-Waite, or they just like make it up. I feel like she actually consults with her guides. I feel like this is a divinely guided deck, both of those actually. Tarot of the Magical Forest. I'm really thinking about swapping this because I am just not resonating with this deck. I think the artwork on here is fun, but it's kind of a little creepy. It weirds me out sometimes. When I first got it, I think I thought it was going to be something else. Not saying it's not for you, but it's just not for me. And I'm probably going to swap these out. And that's a good point to make too. If you're not resonating with a certain deck, go onto Facebook. There is a group called like Tarot Swap, and there are people specifically just sending each other card decks, and you find somebody who has a deck you want, they want yours, you guys send it to each other in the mail, and it's a totally trust-based system. That's how I got this one and my shaman one. But if you don't like them, you know, you can swap them with people. It is not a waste of money. Okay, this is probably my #1 favorite deck. This is called the Archetype Cards. Maybe it's because I am a film storytelling English writing nerd, but I love this deck because it's based on the Jungian archetype. So if you've heard of, you know, when you're writing stories, the hero's journey with like, oh, the threshold, they got the inciting journey, or I can't remember them all, but it's based on the archetypes. So each one of these cards is a different archetype of like a story. Hero, heroine, beggar, I don't know how to say that word. Virgin, addict. There's all sorts of, what is this? Child, a wounded child. They're all archetypes. They are all, I think you get it. But why I love these cards is because I feel like the energy of this deck is very much hard hitting. Like, I feel like I don't pull out this deck unless I feel like my client is really okay to hear what some of these say, because this really gets at the core of things. Like, that's what I would describe this deck as. It hits the core of the problems. It really says, you know, why you're doing something is because you might be addicted to doing it, you know? And I think sometimes we need to hear that, especially me. I pull out this card deck when I'm like, tell it to me how it is. I'm sick and tired of this. I'm clearly not getting it. Tell me what I need to hear. And then the great thing about these cards is it has a light attribute and a shadow attribute. And the great thing about that is that it tells you the good side of being being an eternal child and the bad side about being an eternal child. And it's so funny that I pulled this one because this is exactly me. I feel like my guides, they're making fun of me right now, but like I'm Peter Pan syndrome all the way. And so this is a good thing for me, but it's also a bad thing for me in some ways because I let it get in the way of other things in my life. So that's what I love about these cards is you can pull it reversed or straight and it has different meanings. But I feel like it leaves the readings on more of a note of you could do this or you could do that, or if you're watching out for something, know that this is the boundary, this is the line, this is when it gets to the good side, and this is when you're getting into the bad side of things. So yeah, Archetype Cards, Carolyn Miss, probably my #1 favorite deck. Last deck I'm going to review is the Goddess Power Oracle. Oh my gosh, I love this deck. I just love the packaging. Again, this is Colette Baron Reed. I love her work. She basically made each of these cards into a different goddess. Now, my only complaint is she doesn't describe the goddesses in the book. You have to go onto her website and download the book, or the kind of like the PDF, so that you can learn more about each of these guides. I like using this deck to give people their guides, although each of them have like a core message. I just feel like I usually ask these cards when somebody is really struggling and I'm like, they need to connect with something. They need to have something to leave this reading with. And so giving them a name of a goddess or a guide is so helpful. Oh, and look at Parvati. She's one of mine. Focus. I don't know. Again, beautiful deck. The way these cards, they feel so soft and so nice. It's just printed so well. They're a bit on the big side. They don't quite fit in my hand. I have small hands, but yeah, I think this deck is great. I do think that to really get the full effect of this deck, you probably need to sit and read the booklet and understand each of these guides and what they stand for, because there's a story behind each of these. And I haven't done that yet, and I think that's why I'm not resonating with these as much. I just haven't played around with it, but it is my newest deck, so that's pretty typical. Awesome, guys. Hopefully this review is quick. I will keep doing quick reviews on products, especially tarot cards, as I get new ones. This was like a lot. So hopefully you found one that resonated with you, and if you want to learn how to use them, I do have a video on a quick start tarot guide. It's for those of you who don't know how to do tarot but want to get into it, but you don't want to take like a 40-hour class. Totally understand, and you don't need to. Awesome, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Remember that even if you get some tarot cards, at the end of the day, trust your own intuition.